Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to talk about the 88 Prince George's County schools that have elevated lead in the water. And I started an email to you, and then I couldn't finish before I had to come here that had all this information in it. I'll send it to you later today. So after the story about Flint, Michigan broke, when I read about how children were being poisoned by the lead in the water, and the city changed the water supply, and the city officials knew about it and didn't do anything, I started doing public information acts to the Prince George's County school system to find out what the lead levels in the water. And after receiving all the results, I was shocked to find 88 schools had elevated lead levels from testing that they did 204 and 205, but starting in 210, 211, 212, there was a lot of testing done then too. As an example, Roosevelt High School had in room 8, in room 139 and 237, lead levels over the action level. And the reason I'm here is actually because I have over 1,000 pages of documents, and I am embarrassed to say that I didn't get to all of it till this weekend. I actually didn't realize that Greenbelt was involved. I'd seen Greenbelt Elementary did not have lead levels, but I hadn't gone into this one large PDF, which I'm linking. You'll see it. So clearly the tests showed high lead levels. Did they fix it? In October, I wrote and asked how they remediated it. They said that they sent me the list, which I have here, of the 88 schools with the water sources off and a 4-step action plan that they were taking. When I then asked what were the specifics of the action plan, they said that, and I'll quote, "We need to correct information provided in a previous response and apologize for the error." Apparently an RFP was issued, funding had to be reallocated, and nothing was being done at the time. So that week, WUSA put out a news report about Glen Ridge Elementary School, that they turned off all the water there, and I know that's happening in various schools. But I'd like to know what the plan is. I've been writing a lot of letters, a lot. I've been sending it to other parents who also are writing letters, and I get bits and pieces of what's going on in various schools. But when I read about Roosevelt, I thought maybe I'd come here and figured that the council could possibly find out what was going on and inform the parents, because one of my concerns is that parents were not informed about this issue. And the worst case scenario is that faucets have been off for 6 years, which is its own problem. There's a list of 88 schools, and then it even states which rooms the faucets are off in. My other concern is that their lead testing wasn't done in every water source. So, some schools they did 4 sources, some they did 6, some they did more. Well, if there was a lead level, why not test all the taps? So in Glen Ridge, where they turned them off in October, I read that 45 of those taps tested positive. At least that's what the WUSA report said. And I've asked for for lead test results. I didn't realize they just did some recently, I think. Anyway, it's quite complicated, and I tried to make it clear in the email I sent to you. I do know that no amount of lead is safe for a children's brain, and I just read a news report in Wisconsin, because there's school districts all over the county all over the nation actually are looking at their water supply, and we're finding out that there's actually high lead levels in a lot of areas, a lot of schools. So Greenbelt Middle School, for example, had the health room sink had lead levels of 7.5 and 12. Now those are below the EPA action level of 15, but as the Wisconsin state article that I read said, they're trying to bring it down to 1. So I think that there needs to be a look at the situation, a remediation happening in a transparent fashion so that parents can be informed and something can be done. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a couple of quick questions. So which Greenbelt schools had levels above the level of action?
Not Greenbelt Elementary, from a test done 5 years ago,
So
if I remember correctly.
2010 was the last testing range? 10 to 12.
Well, I'll be honest, I only have the information that I have. So I requested, I believe, all the lead testing that was done from August and backwards of 2016. So, but, you know, at night when I'm looking at the computer and I have all these pages, I believe that I know I saw Greenbelt Elementary, and I know it was all below 1. It was like the lowest. There's some schools where there's no lead levels. It's like below 1, below 1. But Greenbelt Middle had, and I wrote it down exactly.
Which ones are
Greenbelt
above?
Middle.
The new one or the old Greenbelt Middle School?
This was from, I don't
Well,
know.
it could
I don't know
be.
anything about that. From
Well, no, if it's 16
2010 or
you said-
11.
If it's
Oh, then
10,
it's the
it
old-
could
then
be
it's
the
the
new
old
one, it could be
school.
the
Then
new
it's
one.
now what's French immersion.
French immersion school.
Dora Kennedy.
Oh, so that's not.
So not the new.
Oh,
Yeah.
so let me see if Dora Kennedy is on this
So
list.
let me ask again.
So a lot of
which,
these are the new schools,
Yeah.
probably don't have the problem, but the older schools, because of the pipes and all,
Might,
probably have
yeah.
the problem.
Okay.
So
Roosevelt
once again,
did.
Which schools in Greenbelt had a lead level above
it's not new
the
anymore.
action level? You said 15. Is that what you said?
15 is the current actual. Well, I know Roosevelt did on a lead test that I found. This is what I found over the weekend, which is why I'm here. And this is a test done in 2009, room 8, room 139, and room 237. Now, the issue is that when I wrote and asked what remediation was done, I'll be honest, I'm a little confused because the responses I got, and I'll send you the letters back, and maybe you'll understand why, because it is quite confusing, and there's a lot of schools involved. So I just wrote another email where I asked very specifically what was done in Roosevelt. If the lead test showed that in 2009, were they turned off? Were they remediated? What happened? I have a list of the other schools here. What other schools are there that I might miss?
I'd like to focus. I think it's we can best focus on Greenbelt schools.
Right.
So Spring Hill Lake
The Spring
Elementary,
Hill Lake Elementary School, was that
No,
on there?
I-
That was my question.
'cause that's old.
Or Magnolia School also serves Greenbelt. So we will accept your petition, and we'll make an inquiry about any Greenbelt schools that have lead levels above the actionable level.
Magnolia, yes. Magnolia, B2, B3, G4, C2, E2, electric cooler, and cafeteria.
Okay, and that's out of all the rooms in the school. There are 5.
That may be the only ones they tested.
That's the question.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I didn't know Magnolia because, I'm new here relative to everyone else I meet, and I don't know what all the schools are. So are there any other schools that I missed?
Spring Hill Lake
I
Elementary
think
School
Spring,
needs to be
Spring Hill
on.
Lake, CR A2, A5, and 23.
So if you could share that information, but as concisely as possible, we'll take a look
If
at
you
it.
send files that are thousands of pages long, my computer cannot handle it.
How about I just hand this? This is
Please
the.
just hand it to.
Yeah.
This is a list. The other issue is that this is the list of schools with the fountains. I can send you the testing. I'm figuring if you write a letter, you'll probably get a full response to each one of these. I mean, I have, but so should I
Okay,
hand
thank
this to?
Mr. Hurley.
What's the date of, you mentioned the 4-step action plan, when, and that was information that was conveyed to you by the high school?
No, I wrote the CEO and was sent information by the county.
So that's something that, at least on surface, would apply to all the schools?
Well,
Okay,
actually,
from this
the action plan, then they wrote me back and said the action plan wasn't in action.
It wasn't that.
And did it give a prognosis as to when it would be?
They need money.
It said, I have that letter here. It says, we need to correct information. We apologize. Funding had to be reallocated for remediation efforts at Ardmore Elementary School and other priority projects. Despite the delay in completing this, our staff addressed any problem spots found and are working to secure funding to complete this phase. Then I heard from a parent, well, I'll just send you that. I'd rather not.
Please do that. And
all
also,
this
you
here.
mentioned that some of the schools actually just shut the faucets or the water fountains off that had these.
Turn them off the main switch.
Main
The-
switch.
Yeah.
So if you could share the information.
Yeah.
About Greenbelt schools, we'll check into it.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Colin Bird, Greenbelt East.